Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about array methods. So if it hasn't been said already, the function builder is built on top of the JavaScript language. Array methods are basically functions that we run on lists or arrays to manipulate the array. This is very handy when it comes to data manipulation, data transformation, and a host of other use cases. All right. The Like I said before, these methods are literally the same as the JavaScript language methods. I have the documentation for JavaScript, which is just MDN documentation, and you can look through the array methods and look at the documentation. Uh, the application or the implementation on the in-house cloud platform is very similar. The only difference is that this is a no-code implementation, but the documentation should match our implementation, right? So we're going to be going over this fairly quickly, just because you can always fall back to the documentation, and it's for the most part straightforward. All right. So the array we're looking at here, we're currently working with our tutorial demo function. This function is currently connected to an API, connected to our tutorial API. And when we ping it, we will get a response. And just right now, we're just returning our list uh, as a response object. So we're going to be running some methods on the list, and let's get started. All right, so I'm going to add a step. I'm going to rearrange my steps. I'm going to declare a variable. We're going to be updating the list variable, but we're going to be returning that to the same variable. So we're going to be overwriting the list variable with the expression method update. All right, so I'm going to reference the list. Now to apply methods, we click on the add an expression method button. The first method we're going to work with today is the reverse method. So it's just a quick reverse of an array. Our array is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, the number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And with the reverse method, we're just going to reverse this array. I'm going to save this. I'm going to deploy, pull up Postman, and ping it again. And you see our array has been reversed in a 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. The next method we're going to work with is the shift method. So basically, this is going to remove the first item in the array. All right. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to chain this method. So you can have more than one expression method. You can also have more than one array expression method chained together. All right. So we're going to add our shift method. And basically what it's doing is that it's going to remove the first item. And since the first method is going to reverse the array, so it's going to remove the number 4, which will be the first item at the time that this function shift runs. We're going to save this, deploy, going to pull up Postman, ping it. So there you have it. 3, 2, and 1. 4 is out. All right. The next one we're going to do is on shift. So we're going to be adding to the beginning of the array, right? So we just removed 1, so we're going to add 1 right back. So we're going to say on shift. And the methods do have some documentation, so you can also reference the documentation here, but you can also just look at the documentation in the official JavaScript documentation. All right. So I'm going to apply this method, and I am going to change this to a number. And I'm just going to say I want to add the number 45 to the beginning of my array. So what we're going to do is here we're going to reverse the array. Then we're going to remove the first item from the array, and then we're going to add 45 to the beginning of the array. I'm going to save this, deploy, and ping. All right. There you have it, 45, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so we've chained. We've had some fun. We've chained some methods. So we're just going to remove this 3. The next we're going to be looking at is the find index. All right, so this is going to be um, a function. All right, so we say find index, and here it has the current value. It has 3 arguments or 3 parameters: current value, index, and array. Right, and as always, you could always look at the official documentation, right, and you could get detailed understanding of how it all works. The implementation is very similar. Like in this case, you have elements, index, and array, which is pretty much the same thing here. We just say current value, index, and array. All right, so we're going to do something really quick here. We're going to just say, I'm just going to use code for this. I'm going to say, let's see, copy this. Let's copy the current value. I'm just going to say parameter, current value. Let's take that out. Greater than 2. Okay. It's a simple expression that we want to run in our function. I'm going to save this. I'm going to test it out. And we get our response, right? Greater than 2 is 3. All right, and if I change this to 1, save, deploy, test it on Postman, we get 2. All right, so we're going to go to the next method that we're going to be working with. We're going to be using we're going to be working with the concatenate. So we're going to be adding 2 arrays. All right, so we're going to go with concatenate. And there are 2 types of concatenation methods, one for strings and one for arrays. So basically what we're trying to do here is that we have an array and we have another array, and we want to add them together to form one array. All right, so I'm going to just say boy and girl. So we have our array of numbers, and we have an array of strings, and we just want to add these 2 arrays together to have one array. I'm going to save this, deploy, and I'm going to test it out. All right, so we basically concatenated these 2 um, arrays together to form one array. All right. The next we're gonna work with is the slice. So we're just gonna be slicing based on indexes. So I'm just going to add another method. This time it's gonna be the slice method, and it takes 2 arguments: the starting index and the end index. So basically, we're gonna, let's say we want to slice out the first 3 items in our list. So in this case, I know that the index goes 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to slice from index 0 to index 3. And again, these concepts this is well documented in the JavaScript language, and I believe that this applies across all programming languages. Let's say 3. Okay, I'm going to save this, deploy. All right, so we've sliced out the first index 0 to 3. All right, the next one we're going to be working with is Splice. So we're going to use this to add things as specified indexes, right? So we're going to use the Splice. Basically, the Splice method adds or removes items to and from an array, all right? And let's say we want to add at index 2, right? and we want to add, let's add an array, and we're going to say this array is, let's say, fish. Just using random text here, and I'm just going to add a boolean, say false. All right. So basically, at index 2, right here, we're going to add our for our list. We're going to basically concatenate our list to this list. All right. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to deploy. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to ping Postman. And there you have it. So the fish starts at index 2. So 0, 1, 2. And we have the false, and then 3 and 4. So let's say I wanted to remove one item while let's say I wanted to remove that. I wanted to replace the tree, right? So I wanted to replace the item at index 2. I can say I'm going to delete one item, right? Save that, deploy, and once again, this is well documented in the JavaScript documentation. Deploy. There you have it. We've basically removed one item at the index 2. All right, and I believe that's it for this video. There are so many array methods. You can just play around with it. If you are working with data and you are trying to think of a way to manipulate your data, it's safe to come to the JavaScript documentation. You could just research a function, research a method, and just come over to the in-house Cloud Console, look at the function builder, check out the expression methods, search for that method, and there's a high chance that it already exists, right? And with that, I will wrap up the video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch